Wife 11-year, 2 kids 11 and 9. She cheated for 8 months. I knew for the last 3, still working on it. Part 2. Update. My wife and I stayed up all night after I showed her the post yesterday. Here's an update, as well as some thoughts and observations. We are well aware that our odds of success are slim, and that it will most likely be several years before we are out of the woods. But we both decided this morning that we are willing to give it a go. Some of what I said and many of the reactions she received just destroyed her. Nonetheless, we were able to have a genuine dialogue, something we both strive for but do not always achieve. To everyone who used absolutes while speaking to me, it's a very different experience to be in the center of something like this than it is to see it from the outside. Nothing is simple or straightforward. Emotions are overpowering, and simply opting to get out of bed in the morning to start a new day is difficult. If I were to attempt to express how difficult it is to think clearly and make excellent decisions, I would say this. Imagine that you are enjoying your life, that you are on top of a mountain, that you can see to the horizon in all directions, and that you have no uncertainties. You have a clear mind and thinking. You understand who you are, what you want, and where you want to go. Then image being off the mountain's peak, thrown in a dark locked coffin, and whirled around so quickly that all your blood flows down to your legs. You're practically passing out, you can't think straight, you're feeling queasy and dizzy, and you want to vomit more than anything. This is the only way I can describe the devastation my brain went through. In such a condition, I'm certain to make some poor decisions. In this condition, I believe everyone will make poor decisions. To some who said we were endangering our children, we disagree. We spoke with our children, and they are glad that we informed them and kept them engaged in our efforts. It's my family too, said my youngest. They believe in us more than we believe in ourselves, and they appreciate that we seek their advice and ideas. We have been extremely clear in informing them that we would not allow it if they pick sides. We've also made it quite obvious that none of this is their fault or duty. They have informed us that they like being engaged and assisting us both collectively and individually. They will provide encouraging words and additional hugs when they believe we are in need. They understand that this may not be fixable, but they have informed us that they would be unhappy if we quit up without giving it our all. The first few months were quite difficult, but now that things have settled down, they are thankful for the opportunity to participate. Some of their pals are in circumstances where their families are dissolving, and they feel like mushrooms, kept in the dark and fed garbage. So our children seem to be better off than we are, and I just hope we don't let them down too badly. To those who thought I was insane and couldn't understand how I could be so tough and abuse my wife while proposing reconciliation. To be clear, I had no intention of contributing anything on D-Day. I was intended to terminate it as soon as possible. I was still resolved to do so when she returned the following day, offering to do everything and begging me to give her a chance. I couldn't do it at the time. I couldn't abandon her. I felt weak, ashamed of myself, and furious because I wanted her to suffer. But I still loved her deep down. I simply couldn't confess it or stop it. I took some time to think about it, created a list, and stated my requests. I never anticipated her to accede to the most difficult conditions in my wildest thoughts. I didn't expect her to inform the app's wife, nor did I expect her to tell our children, family, or friends, and I certainly didn't expect her to support me in my fake revenge affair. Want her to give up, but I also didn't want her to suffer. I was certain that her pain would make me feel better. It didn't work. I couldn't dispute that she was honest, that she wanted to sort things out, that she was sorry for what she had done as she did all I requested. She has done all she can to reconcile, but I must confess that I have not. I've been looking for a cause to give up and go, or to force her to give up and leave. I've been really harsh at times, I've unleashed my rage on her, and I'm a frightening person. She has just accepted it. She makes no attempt to justify herself. I'm not sure I trust her when she says she's never been terrified of me. She assures me that she is aware that I would never physically assault or harm her. I'm not so sure of myself. I've been dangerously near a few times. I pray I never have to. I'm afraid I'll irreparably damage or kill someone if I cross that boundary. To those who inquired about her motivations for doing so, we've come to the conclusion that she felt stuck and imprisoned. Our way of life was to be secure and comfortable. It struck her hard when her closest friend died, and she was susceptible to a snake charmer who understood precisely what kind of nonsense to throw at her. She now feels duped and has a difficult time reconciling her decisions with the person she thought herself to be. We discovered that her AP has a practice of cheating on his wife with 2-3 women at a time since before they began dating. We also discovered that he had 2 illegitimate sons. In my case, I had not really committed to reconciliation. I am a really tough person who can take and dish it out. I managed to persuade myself that if my wife suffered, I would be okay simply walking away if I could find a good enough excuse to quit up. I was mistaken. I've been looking for excuses not to get close to her again since I was and still am very hurt. I was afraid of allowing her to get too near and being harmed again. This has prohibited us from making any significant headway toward reconciliation. She has been the only one who has been completely dedicated. Several people have asked me whether I am as adept at dispensing love as I am at dispensing punishment, and the answer is no. But I'm working on it right now. I've forgiven her, but I've kept her at a distance in order to find a cause strong enough to override my love for her and allow me to go. I intend to rectify that and make a serious attempt to reconcile. If we fail, but I will give it my all from now on, even if it means risking more injury. Many people criticized my wife, while others pointed out that she was just human and made some poor decisions. As things stand now, I am in control of the repercussions of her poor decisions, which is not a position I choose to hold. I've given this a lot of consideration since I, too, make errors, behave erratically, and may be nasty to her at times. Punishing her has practically driven me insane with resentment and rage. I have no control over it at times. She made some poor decisions and lost control, just like I am now doing. We're both simply regular people. I need to work with you to figure out how to get through this. I'm going to get off my high horse and attempt to be 50% of this relationship and 50% of the effort to work things out. What about my wife? The day following D-Day, she realized I was dead serious. There was no place to go, no pardon, nothing. She knew her odds of saving her family were minimal at best, but she was willing to do anything. It's evident today that she never really loved AP. She was more interested in the thrill, the dream. She expressed gratitude for my ironclad, rock-solid attitude. It jolted her out of her affair haze, knocked some sense into her, and refocused her on what was essential. She also thought her punishment was deserved, which encouraged her to stop hating herself so much. She has thanked me profusely for not letting her off and for persevering. She is punishing herself more severely than I ever did. She has even pondered suicide, although she did not do so at the time because she believed she would get off too easily. I discovered that she had been torturing herself since D-Day, beating herself and pinching herself with pliers. I'm talking about the whole rear of her leg being purple. It's a single continuous black mark. This is, of course, ineffective. Instead, we have decided to concentrate on her forgiving herself. We will not be able to heal until this occurs. It's odd in a sense. Now that she just wants to punish herself, she has lost all of the characteristics that drew me in the first place. Her sense of humor, grin, well-thought-out ideas, self-esteem, loving patience, and so on. I don't believe it's beneficial for me to redevelop affections for her when her punishing herself inhibits the same qualities I like in her. The reasons I met her and married her in the first place. Overall, owing to all of the nice strangers on the internet, we made some progress. We still have a long way to go, but we've identified several major roadblocks to overcome. We did, however, sleep in the same bed for the first time since D-Day, so there's something. It was good to be able to sleep close to her again. I still adore her, and I'm ashamed of myself for doing so. But then I remember my children, and that gives me the motivation to keep going. We shall strive to forge a new connection now that the old one has ended. Thank you once again, everyone. Update. It's been difficult at times, but I'm okay, or should I say we're fine. Things have improved dramatically since I chose to make a concerted attempt to reconcile. We've even rekindled our friendship. My wife, or my former wife, the one I fell in love with, is beginning to appear more often. We go to a lot of counseling. We're becoming better at communicating, and we've begun being intimate on a regular basis. We're still in the early stages, and the odds are stacked against us, but we're making unexpectedly excellent progress. I'm trying to show her how much I appreciate her every day, and she's doing the same. I still experience tremendous emotional agony, and she does as well. But, overall, there are more and more pleasant moments than bad. I believe we will be okay. People are kind, and I am optimistic about the future. Thank you to the nice online strangers that assisted me in my hour of need. Update. As a result, we are separated. We were making good progress on reconciliation, and my wife did almost everything correctly from the start. She has a hard time forgiving herself since she despises herself. On the other hand, I was able to keep my emotions under control for a time. And there was the issue. My emotions were still seething under the surface. Emasculation, betrayal, falsehoods, humiliation, rage. As a consequence, I resorted to my old ways of being harsh, vengeful, and furious, and I no longer want to be that man. So we split off to gain some space. For the sake of the children, we will return to attempting reconciliation later. So that's the situation. Sometimes it's impossible to reassemble Humpty Dumpty. I'm not optimistic that we'll make it in the end.